Hello, I'm Ozymandias12, and yes, you may be asking, why is this dipshit wearing sunglasses inside whilst he's doing a review? Well, the answer lies in the question. He's a dipshit. He doesn't know what he's doing, except when it comes to sci-fi movies. Now, I think sci-fi as a genre is so underrated and so underutilized these days. In fact, most of the time when they mention a sci-fi film, it's basically about a bunch of people just shooting hordes of monsters or whatever, and it doesn't always ask all those pertinent questions that sci-fi is capable of. A lot of modern sci-fi really isn't pushing the ball any further than what it has. Like, you think back to, all those Star Trek episodes, or Alien even. Alien does a wonderful thing of asking, about the unknown. Do we fear the unknown? And, these instruments of absolute carnage and how to handle them. And also The Thing, you've got great ideas there that are also embedded in horror. I don't know, I just love sci-fi. But like I said, I don't think there's been enough good sci-fi recently. So I thought I'd put together a quick list of the top 5 modern sci-fi films that I've seen. And when I say modern, I'm thinking maybe the last 15 years or so. It's pretty modern. And let's get straight into it. Anyway, number 5, Blade Runner 2049. Now, directed by Denis Villeneuve. This stars Ryan Gosling as Kay as a Blade Runner, or a replicant hunter, who's out to, discharge all those replicants in the year 2049. And also, there's another story of a certain individual that might be special, that may need to be hunted down himself. I don't want to give away too much of the film, but it's Blade Runner. It's the sequel to the film back in the 80s, which created this whole sci-fi futuristic world of flying cars and big advertisements on buildings, and it's dark and it's gritty and all the graphics have been updated, so it just looks fantastic. It's got a great soundtrack. It's so atmospheric. I really love this film. Denis Villeneuve did a lot with Harrison Ford coming back. But I just like, the action in it. I like the sci-fi, I like the questions that it raises about humanity, about having a soul, and it builds upon the first film. Now, I will say it's at number 5 because I do feel that this film drags a little, which is similar to the Blade Runner's first film. There are some parts of it where I'm like, oh, this is kind of going on for a bit too long and it's not as interesting as I think it thinks. And I think the ending kind of throws me off a bit, where the lady kind of says, to die for something you love is the most honourable thing, or something like that. Which I'm kind of thinking that sounds like what terrorists tell themselves. So I don't know if I fully agree with that, but everything else is great. It's a really good sci-fi and one of the best of recent memory. Number 4, we have Coherence, which came out in 2013 by director, I know off the top of my head, James Ward Burkett. Might have said that wrong. Anyway, it's about a group of friends that all gather at a house for a dinner party, and then a comet passes overhead, which everyone's kind of hearing about. Anyway, this comet seems to disturb the realm of reality, or create some kind of new dimensions or something around them. They go outside and things change, and people who they thought they were have changed. It's kind of a Schrodinger's cat idea, where there are alternate personalities and dimensions that you can kind of run into. That's giving away a fair bit, but it's very, very well done, and it's not a huge budget on this film. But I feel what they've done is they've got a really good idea that they tap into and they fully explore. And it's really just a unique little film, especially for sci-fi fans, to get into and see just kind of the questions that it raises, and makes you think of things that you've never even thought before. So really good idea. I think the idea was inspired by a Twilight Zone episode from way back. But yeah, a really unique film, Coherence. I will say, I don't know if they kind of stick the landing at the end. It feels like they had this good idea and they kind of explored all this stuff, but they didn't quite know how to end it. Some people are happy with it. Anyway, really cool original film, Coherence. Go check it out. Number 3 is a recent film that came out that my friend actually told me to see, and it kind of, made me do this whole list. So it was made this year, called The Reality Experiment by Jake Travaskis, which is about a bunch of students, 8 students, that get together at a university to do this random test by this guy, Jeremy, who's very, crazy-haired genius. And yes, it's to test the boundaries of reality and the fabric of reality. And of course, once they start doing it, there's little changes, but there's a couple of big changes, and all of a sudden they have to try and get back to normal reality. And yeah, chaos ensues and it gets crazier and crazier. Now, this film, I had no idea about, and I could see it's also shot on a bit of a cheap budget, but it's really a great idea that's really well done. And I was surprised how locked in I got into this film, because there's a point where he kind of introduces all the characters and sets everything up, and then it just gets going. And you're exploring all these crazy ideas of reality, and the concept itself is really quite genius. I never really kind of thought of reality this way, or perception, or seeing things this way. So it's a really cool idea, and it's a really interesting way how they go through changes and they can't quite remember. Anyway, I don't want to give away too much, because there's some really crazy stuff that happens in this film. And unlike Coherence, I feel that this one really sticks the landing a lot better. And it does so much in, I think it's only about 90-minute film, but really exceptional sci-fi. That's why I put it at number 3. Yeah, the reality experiments. Yeah, I suppose I don't think it went to cinemas this one. I think it went straight to streaming, which is weird, because yeah, I thought it's got quite potential, but a real gem, the reality experiment, at number 3. Number 2, I got Denis Villeneuve again, and I've put 2 films together because I feel they're kind of in the same space. They're just as good as each other, and that's the Dune series. Now, Dune was a novel written by Frank Herbert, I believe, back in, I don't know, way back. Anyway, it's a big story that's kind of influenced a lot of other stories, especially Game of Thrones, with the houses and, you know, fighting for the crown and the main place in the galaxy. But yeah, it's such a huge epic and has such great ideas, and it hasn't been really told before well. I know David Lynch attempted it to do it all in one film, but Denis Villeneuve's come in with the right idea to kind of expand it out to 2-3 films and really give the source material its due. Like, it's really good stuff. I know you're on a sand planet a lot of the time. Visually, it can be a bit, you know, boring, but he does so much with it. He does a lot with the fight scenes. The fight scenes are great. The acting's fantastic by Timothée Chalamet. He really embodies that character. And they're long, but some people don't quite get into the Dune series, but I feel it gets better with every rewatch. And it really goes through all the great sci-fi ideas and just the how future could be a civilization like this, and having to sacrifice yourself and trust. It's got so many great ideas. I really love it. I really love all the actors that they put into it. And yeah, it's easily my number 2. Now, before I get to number 1, an honorable mention is Tenet. Now, I've probably seen this more as an action film, which is why I didn't include it in the top 5, but I probably could have. But Tenet is a film by Christopher Nolan that's just, I feel it's so underrated. I think everyone tried to jump on it and hate it just because it was the flavor of the month to hate Christopher Nolan back in the day. Everyone thought he was kind of done after Tenet, not Tenet. Dunkirk. I think Dunkirk was a little underwhelming for some people, but Tenet, I was blown away by it, and I love it so much. It's such a cool idea of going through a world that is basically traveling backwards in time, and he does so many clever and ingenious things with it. And as much as I get frustrated with Christopher Nolan's way he films things a little too close sometimes, which can be frustrating, and he throws the camera around just to kind of throw you off, which, you know, I don't think he always handles action great, but just the idea and how it's executed, and yeah, the sci-fi aspects of a world in the future fighting us. I don't know, I think it's genius, and yeah, I would have loved to put it in the top 5, but yeah, there's a lot more action in it, possibly. Anyway, it's an honorable mention. I really wouldn't mind putting it in the top 5. But of course, number 1 has to be Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. This is such a sweeping, marvelous, emotionally impactful film for everyone involved, and it's pretty simple. You know, the world's running to crap. Nothing's going to last, and they need to find another planet to get to, and they choose Coop, played by Matthew McConaughey, to fly up into the world, go through this wormhole that they've just discovered where there's possible planets to live, and it plays with so many great concepts in sci-fi, especially time. I think time's the big one, about how relative time, where one thing travels, you know, so much in time here, where if you go to another planet, you know, what's minutes there are hours there, and just the concept of that is played with so brilliantly here. You know, there's a family story right at the core of it, which hinges over everything. Yeah, you talk to anyone about Interstellar, it's a long film about space and wormholes, and they got Kip Thorne in to kind of, you know, talk them through the scientific parts of it and all. But yeah, I think you'll find it hard to, I think it's hard to find anyone that really dislikes Interstellar. To be honest, when I first watched Interstellar, I did have issues with it. I got a big issue with the ending and how they wrap everything up. You know, there's this whole thing about figuring out the equation to gravity, and then they do it, and then they just go, well, we figured out gravity, and they don't really go into what that could mean, what that could be. They're just going to say, well, we've figured it out, and now we're all saved. You know, it's a bit of an anticlimactic beat for me that always, I was like, oh, you can do better there. You can write that scene a little bit better instead of just like, oh yeah, we figured it out because this happened, this happened. Anyway, that's a small little gripe because the film does so much more than that. The punches it throws, usually it hits, and they're big swings. So yeah, it's a real, you get so much out of this film, not only emotionally, but just through the whole space ride. When Matt Damon shows up at one point, he knocks it out of the park. And there's that spinning scene when he's trying to align the ships. Just thinking about it, it's so exciting, this film, and it does so much. And that's why it's my number one. So yeah, that's my top 5 sci-fis of modern times. I hope you enjoyed it. Check them out if you haven't seen them.